Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another podcast. I hope you enjoyed the last podcast where I was clipping together small videos to make one long podcast of at least an hour, around about an hour. I hope you enjoyed that. I've got plenty of good feedback, so thank you if you have done that. So we're going to carry on with this. And essentially, I'm going to try and make each of these podcasts last just over an hour so that for those of you that enjoy just listening, it's a known quantity. Okay, so here we go. First comment. Neil, I love you. Fantastic. My philosophy on the rough and ready leather planner approach fits my style too. I absolutely hate those planners with all pretty colours and stickers and neat handwriting that looks like a font. This is a tool for me, not a fashion statement. I'm with you on the working tools. I've always treated filofaxes as a working tool for me. And many of my filofaxes have been rough and ready over time. Certainly at the moment, I am using, at least this week, because I rotate them because that's just the way I roll. But this is a Guilford Mini Extra Slim. I've had it quite some time, and this is really rough and ready. But I like these mini size filofaxes, and there are other brands available. So this is very rough and ready. Rough cut paper. I don't use printed inserts, just cut a sheet of A4 into A7. And that works for me. So I have an appointments diary, if you like, and I have some to-do lists in there here and some blank paper. That really works for me. I don't have any airs and graces. It's not decorated. It is what it is. One thing I would say about neat and tidy writing, I must admit, I kind of slightly disagree with the commenter here, because I tend to write in capitals because I can't even read my own handwriting, my cursive writing, let alone anybody else. So I personally like to use sort of fairly neat and tidy capital letters. That works for me. As far as decorating binders, we're all different. And I do get it. If you have a filofax that where you want everything in one place, and you might want to make some dividers out of photographs, keep photographs of family or your pets or anything like that, why not? It's not for me, but I do appreciate that that's it's fundamentally very, very important for some people. And a little bit of decoration, washi tape, stickers, if it brightens someone's day, then, and it works for them, then that is the right way to do it. So I kind of sitting on the fence here. I can see it from both sides. I can see it from the commenter's side, but I can also see it from the side where people like to decorate their filofaxes. It's a personal thing, as it is for everyone. Okay, just come across your channel. Love the little love the little hints and tips. Thank you. From time to time, I get a comment like that. Thank you so much. There's a lot of I get a lot of enjoyment from your feedback. 99% of it is very favourable, but the 1% that is not so favourable, I take notice of and learn from it. I always try and take feedback favourably, and I always try, even if it's something a little bit derogatory. Well, I try and take it with a pinch of salt, as they say in the UK. But that's very, very rare. So I'm very, very pleased and gratified. So it kind of is quite uplifting. So thank you very much. Okay, so what's the model? Is that a filofax? where is it possible to buy? Thanks. Well, I have mentioned this a few times, but I think it's important to talk about this. It's a Guilford Mini Extra Slim. It's the smallest filofax the brand ever made. It's 5 rings, mini size, very, very small. No pen loop, no fastening strap. And this is, to me, this is the greatest filofax, the greatest filofax model that they ever made. And I lament the fact that these could be very, very popular. Certainly, lots of people have asked me about these. Where can I get one? And I share the frustrating news that that they haven't been made for nearly 20 years. They were only made for 1 or 2 years, I believe. I own 2 of them. I had to pay quite a lot of money for them on eBay. My 2, they have an appalling reputation for quality because the lining, and I don't really want to use visual cues because a lot of people are listening to this in their car or cooking or even having a shower. But what I'm showing to the camera is this liner, and the pockets are removed as well, because it just flakes and bits and pieces come off. It is absolutely appalling. Now, I'm guessing in my own minds that once the feedback from these, once people were presumably telling filofax that this was not a great experience for them, then I'm just guessing that rather than sort the problem out and redesign it with materials that don't flake, it's the lining of the lining, and it's not leather. The leather on the surface, on the outside, is very, very good, but the lining inside, it just crumbles away to dust, literally to dust. And if you leave it, you will be suffering from dusty papers for literally years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It will just continue at a rate that always causes annoyance. So the only way to deal with it is either throw it away, but that's not a good idea, because you could sell it on eBay to someone like me, and then I will take the trouble to clean the mess up. It's very time consuming, but it's worth it to me. Or hold your hands up in despair. I don't know. I mean, this is a fantastic EDC binder. EDC stands for Everyday Carry. And a lot of people have notebooks, especially in the US, where there's a huge EDC community. It's a little bit fragile because of the rings. The rings are not the best quality you can buy. But with care, this is a great item. But the problem is, as I see it, is whenever one of these pops up on eBay, you can bet that there will be many, many people that will have their email alert set up. And if this is an auction, it will go for good money, especially if it's in an unused condition where the rot, the deterioration of the liner has not yet started. Both of these models that I have, I bought in brand new condition, boxed, and then within a week of using them, they've started to deteriorate. So I'm pretty sure that was the case when people bought them back in the day, and then, presumably they would have sent them back under warranty, maybe. Presumably the brands, the Filofax brand, decided, well, we're going to discontinue it. Well, I think that's a shame, because the actual design of it is absolutely fantastic, and there's a huge potential market, in my opinion, for bringing one of these back. Now, I have emailed Filofax to say, look, this is a great product. if you could just make it so that, and I'm showing the liner again, if you've got the design details, the specifications, maybe the best thing, in my humble opinion, is if it's not possible to get a liner that doesn't crumble to dust, is don't have the liner. Just have it like this with the man-made substrate showing. I would be happy with that, rather than have this extra layer of this extra thin veneer of whatever it is that just crumbles to dust. Just completely obviate the needs to solve the problems by just leaving it like this. I think I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely happy with that. It would be all the better for it. It would be cheaper for them. I really, I mean, obviously, I'm not involved in filofax in any way, the brand, as it were. But I think that would be great. Sadly, when I suggested it to them, I don't want to be over dramatic and say I was met by silence, but the fact of the matter is they didn't even get back to me. So I was expecting them to say, well, thank you for your information, but we don't have any plans, or watch this space, we might consider it at a future date. No, nothing, which I think is a shame, because sometimes when there's been a concerted amount of feedback, and I draw your attention to the fact that many of us complained about the QR codes. They did listen, and they brought out a range of, well, very limited range of classic inserts, diary inserts without the QR codes. So they do listen, but perhaps they don't bother listening to just one person. But what if there's 100 of you email them? What about if there's 1,000? I'm not suggesting that we start a revolution here, but I definitely think that if you, I mean, it's not even we don't even have to worry about the cost of a letter or the postage stamp these days. It's just sending an email. If you emailed Filofax and said, look, I would love to be able to purchase something like the Guilford Mini Extra Slim, they would know what you talk about, and they can't refuse to listen or reply to every one of you. So that it's just a thought. It's just a thought. If you're interested in one of these, whether it's the commenter or whatever, wherever you are in the world, if Filofax knew that there was a demand out there, I mean, I don't know whether they look at eBay. I don't know whether they look at the prices that vintage Filofax. I mean, this isn't vintage, but Filofax is of yesteryear. I don't know whether they look at the prices. But there are certain models that go for huge amounts of money, in particular the Guilford Mini Extra Slim. So, they I don't know, maybe they could make a limited production run. I know that they do make limited production runs for the Japanese market, where the Japanese are experts with their stationery. They demand high quality, and I know from my stats that there are many Japanese viewers that watch this. So maybe we could ask Filofax nicely if they would kindly make something like this, because I think that for those of you out there who are using something like a Moleskine or Moleskine notebook, this is the equivalent. This is the equivalent of a Moleskine with repositionable pages, and from that perspective, this is a fabulous thing. However, in answer to the commenter, may I introduce some alternatives here. So this is made by Plotter. It's a very, very simple binder made of excellent quality Pueblo. No, this is bridal leather, and they're making it with Krauss rings, so the best you can buy. Here is a recent addition in the global marketplace. This is a Me Plus Slim pad. A Me Plus Slim pad. I always find it difficult to get my head around that. This is also made of very good quality leather. This is Pueblo leather from Italy. And again, Krauss rings. So if those of you who who just have given up with filofax, who completely despair either of getting hold of something like this or don't want to even attempt it because the fragility of the rings, or indeed the quality of the liner in here, there are options. There are options out there, and I don't know whether the filofax brand has missed the boat, but you can get hold of one of these just on eBay through an eBay reseller and have it shipped to your country. Or you may be in the States where there is a distribution network for plotters. Or when I originally got in contact with Me Plus, who are in Hong Kong, I said, do you ship to the UK? And initially they didn't, but now they do. Maybe they shipped, I haven't checked their website, but maybe they shipped everywhere. I don't know. But it's worth asking. And this is the Me Plus is slightly cheaper than the Plotter. They're both quite expensive, but then again, there's also another one. There's Woozy, who make something almost identical to this in mini size. And as I record this in January 2025, I can get one of those from Hong Kong, postage paid, £56, which is less than what this would cost secondhand on eBay. And I don't know whether or not there would be customs fees and disbursements that you might have to pay in your country, but the bottom line is these binders are about the same price as, for instance, if you look at I don't want to go too much off piece, but this is, albeit it's an early one, but you can buy a Malden, a filofax Malden here in the UK and in America, any other countries. But the asking price for the Malden is more than the asking price for one of these. And okay, this is absolutely great. I love this, and especially good as a wallet with all the zip pockets, etc., and slots. But if you're looking for something like the Guilford Mini Extra Slim, then they're available, and they're, to all intents and purposes, although this is made in Hong Kong, this is made in Japan. You're not paying that much more, or you may even be paying less. So this Me Plus is actually the best quality leather, the best possibly rings you can get, and yet it is cheaper than a Malden, which has arguably budget leather and budget rings, although it's a lovely design, and there's more work that goes into this than one of these. But there are many of you out there that just want a simple notebook with repositionable pages, and so don't hold your hopes on getting one of these Guilford Mini Extra Slims, because they are as rare as hen's teeth, and there's no need to wait. There is no need to wait at all, because this is available, the Woozy is available, there may be more out there, So maybe filofax have missed the boat on this, because I think that I mean, they haven't even come to the party, have they? Because they have nothing to offer, even though there must be tens of thousands of people around the world that would want one of these, are busy becoming cognizant of the availability of this sort of product. And at the best of the world, this is real good quality leather. It's really, really good quality rings, Krauss rings, Pueblo leather, English made, bridal leather. You cannot get better. This is high quality, rather than something where budget has reduced the quality of these. Cheaper rings, cheaper leather. I mean, I like this leather, but it's not the same as this leather. This is the real deal. But at the moment, I'm switching things around. I'm not sure what mini binder I'll be using next week. I love to change. I take everything out and put it in something else. I might be in the Malden, because I'm going to be trying this out. I quite like the design of it, and it's got reasonable flatability. This has got perfect flatability. This has got perfect flatability. This has got perfect flatability. Many of the current mini binders have zero flatability. So that's another thing to consider if you are looking for a working tool. Flatability is potentially something you need to consider before purchase. But all these three, the Guilford Mini Extra Slim, and the I haven't got a Woozy in this colour, but in this size, but I'm informed that the Woozy mini binder has excellent flatability as well. So you pays your money, you takes your choice, but there are alternatives available. Having said that, I really like despite its faults, I really like the Guilford Mini Extra Slim. Okay, as you can see, these clips extend over more than one day sometimes. But I'm fine with that, because one of the reasons why I like doing this, not doing everything in one single day, is because it gives me the opportunity to respond, not necessarily the same day, but fairly quickly, sometimes the same day. It gives me the opportunity to read the comments, read what someone has commented about, while it's fresh in my mind, respond to it, get my reply, my response onto video as soon as possible, while it is fresh in my mind. So that's what I'm doing. So that explains the change of clothes, not the scenery, because the scenery is the same, but there we go. So first comment today. I am not a fan of QR codes. Now, I kind of sit on the fence, because I have to. I do. People know that I am personally not in favour of QR codes. I don't really see the point, but I defend the right of people to be keen on them if they want. The state of play at the moment is that I have seen many hundreds of people, maybe that's an exaggeration, but perhaps many hundreds, who don't like the QR codes. But I have discovered recently one person that likes the QR codes, and if it's not an exact poll, is it? But if anyone from Filofax follow these podcasts, that is a massive, shall I say it again, a massive discrepancy difference between the number of people that don't like the QR codes and the number of people that do like QR codes. Just one person I've discovered. I know it's skewed slightly because people tend to comment if they're unhappy about something and they don't comment if they are happy about something. But nevertheless, it is a massive difference, and it is perhaps a reflection on the popularity of QR codes in general. But anyway, I'm not a fan of QR codes. They take up space. That is absolutely true. I mean, in my opinion, they do take up a lot of space. Unless you've got an A5, but certainly personal size, they take up a massive amount of space. They take up space and are unnecessary in my A5 planner. But this is interesting. In the Czech Republic, we don't have the option to order inserts without QR codes. I didn't know that. Can anyone corroborate that? And maybe we should, if you wouldn't mind, can you send me a comment? And you don't have to specifically go back to this video. You can send me a comment on any video. I will pick it up, okay? About whether the classic version of the diary inserts, that's the one without the QR codes, that was introduced by filofaxes in response to, I believe, many people have complained about the QR codes. I wonder whether there are other countries where you cannot obtain what is now known as the classic, i.e. the set of inserts without a QR code. So let me know. However, that means I miss out on the calendar and holidays. Now, I've always been a fan of the good quality paper, especially the fountain pen friendly paper that filofaxes use. It's really, really good quality, and the hole punches are nice and crisp. It's nice. Last year, I decided to go, a whole year using week on 2 pages in both personal format and pocket format, which I trimmed down to fit a mini size binder, which is a little tip that I recommend. I'm really struggling today, but I will persevere. Having lots of problems with my chest today. But where was I? That means I miss out on the calendar and holidays. Yeah, I can imagine that some people like the calendar and holidays. Personally, I'm okay with it because I have I also use the Apple's calendar app. It has the holidays on there, and so I don't really, I can't think, and this is just me, I can't think of one instance in the last 5 years where I've been using something like a plain sheet of paper with nothing written on it other than the day of the week and the date and the month. So nothing fancy, hand drawn. I can't think, from my own perspective, any time where I've looked and think, oh no, I wish I could see a calendar on there, because that's just me. I haven't, but obviously some people do. But I think sometimes, I mean, if you look at, for instance, the mini, because I did look at it. I did look at it this time last year, and I was thinking that maybe that might be an option to use the filofaxes' own day per page in mini-sized format. And I just took one look at it, looking at the image on the filofaxes website, and I thought, what is going on? There is so much stuff crammed, information, the the cycles of the moon and the calendar and even the filofax logo on every page to as a constant advert. Hey, this is a filofax sheet, and just in case you've forgotten, I'm going to print it on the next one and the next one and the next one. There's just so much going on that the actual space for writing anything was reduced by about 30 or 40%. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. To my eyes, I could not believe what I was seeing. And it just makes, for me, it just makes sense to, not only it makes sense from a visual perspective to have a clean sheet of blank paper with just a date written on it, but also my wallet. There's a huge, just an enormous difference in price. To make 365 sheets, and that's two pages per day, isn't it? That's just I can't remember. It's £3 or £4. No, it's not even that, is it? So I don't know. Do the maths. Sorry, I'm not prepared for that. I'm having a tough day today where maths is not my strong point. Forgive me, but significantly cheaper. I really miss out on the calendar and holidays. The system really isn't well thought out because, and this is the salient point here, because we already have existing apps on our phones for these reminders. Well, most of us have a smartphone, and I imagine that anyone that's using the app on an analog calendar like the diary inserts for filofax will, by virtue of the fact they're using QR codes, they will have a smartphone. So I don't really. There is that conflict there, isn't there? There's that conflict, in my opinion. Thank you for the summary video, and maybe someday we'll get clean pages without unnecessary clutter. Well, I have tried one or two printed inserts, diary inserts from rival companies, and the paper, to be honest, is not quite as good as filofax. I love the filofax paper, I love it, but I just don't like the clutter. And the other thing is, whenever I look, it's always got not always, but unless you go onto the website at just the right time, you end up being presented with a whole load of diary inserts that are multi-language. Now, I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't really travel around. The last time I went abroad was 40 years ago, something like that, and it was only a day trip to France. But just take that scenario. Just say I was going to France and I was taking my diary with me. So I live in the UK. I go to France. Do I start looking, if it goes on a Monday, do I start looking at lundi rather than Monday? No, not really. I'm still in English mode in terms of my chosen language, because, to be honest, although I know a little bit of French, I know a lot more English because I was born in England. I don't suddenly start looking at the French day of the week. I just don't get it. I just do not get the advantage, especially when there's so little space available in, say, mini size, week on one page or week on 2 pages. You know, it's that line of days of the week in different languages just takes up a huge amount of space. I can't see the advantage. And if you're French, ideally you'd like diary inserts in French. If you're Italian, you'd prefer, presumably, things to be in Italian. I can see the advantage for filofax because they don't have to print quite so many different languages. But if you're at the top of the tree, if you are promoting yourself as filofax do, as the class leading repositionable paper diary system, then I personally think you have a responsibility to your French customers and your German customers and your Italian customers to just produce inserts in their language, not this awful multi-language mess that threatens to well, it doesn't just threaten, it actually reduces by some margin the amount of space available for the person to actually get on and jotting down the entrance in the diary. So a bit of a rant that was, but it is how I see things. Okay, have you seen my recent review of the filofax system organizer? This is a particularly poor example. It's been used in business. It's full of the previous vendor's business cards, no less. But it just is appalling that the materials have not stood up very well to business use. And this commenter says, I honestly did not know that any of the filofax system organisers were made in synthetic materials. I thought they were all Windsor leather binders like mine. An A5 FSO Windsor was my first filofax, and I carried it for 14 years as my primary personal organiser as a technology consultant, until I replaced it in 2008 with an A5 bridle. But yes, the front pocket was designed to fit a 3.5-inch floppy disk. The system organiser debuted in 1992, I believe, and I bought mine around 1994 to replace the Dayrunner Pro half US leather size organiser I'd used to that point. Well, what can I say? I mean, this person, as a technology consultant, 14 years, appears to have been very happy. They haven't said that theirs was falling apart. It's in leather. And I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine as a technology consultant, business people, technologists would be consulting you, which I imagine means you visiting them or them visiting you, and you want to use your binder to good effect to do what you have to do. And I obviously this is picking at straws, but I would have thought if you are a technology consultant toting a really tatty synthetic filofax system organizer, well, it just doesn't give the right look, does it? I imagine that this commenter's Windsor filofax system organizer would have been neat and tidy for a long time. And as we know, leather tends to look better with use. Synthetic materials like this, not really, in my opinion. I mean, it's not even my opinion. You can see the results yourself. It's just tatty. Not only that, this one's tatty and dirty and sticky. Oh, right. I rest my peace. If you're going to use a filofax, let's say you're a teacher, I imagine that people are less likely to have to use a filofax in business today, but some do, and those people rise to the surface because they say, yeah, I do, and I do, and I do, but we don't really know the percentage, because no one pops up in comments say, no, I don't. I'm just here on social media to point out that I do not use a filofax anymore. So you don't get that. So it's hard to gauge It's hard to gauge what percentage of the population still use a filofax as a business tool. I would guess it's probably less than 1%, considerably less than 1%. But you never know. You never know. All I'm saying, and I am very opinionated, as you all know. All I'm saying is, if you're going to have a filofax and you're going to buy one for business use, so long as you're not you don't have a specific aversion to leather, maybe you're a vegan or something. So long as you're okay with leather, if it's a choice between two binders, one synthetic. I like the word synthetic because I always say man-made, but I like the word synthetic. I might use that. So thank you to the commenter, because you might find me saying synthetic from now on. Who knows? And only you will know that that's the reason why. But if you've got a choice between a synthetic binder for however much and a leather one for however much, a little bit more, I say it's a good investment to use the leather one. It's a good investment to use the leather one. That's all I can say. Sorry, it's such an important point. I said it twice. Okay, so a channel member says, and this is in response to me talking about the filofax rings getting in the way of writing, and using a leather pad for holding the paper sufficiently so that you don't have to use your other hands to hold the paper down. This channel member says, for me, the rings getting in the way has never really been a problem, but your hand not resting on your inserts once you've gone past the middle certainly has. Whenever I get past the middle, I take out the paper and move it so that the upper rings go through the bottom holes of the page. Then when I'm done writing, I move the paper down to its normal position again. I can see that being a good idea from the point of view that your hands can remain on the lower half of the remaining pages, so that's good. Although there's still an issue, in my opinion, that because there's a gap between, it's not an interference fit, so you will have the paper being held by 3 rings, but those rings are 2.5 millimeters in diameter and the holes are 5 millimeter diameter, so there's some play in the system. So it will waggle. I'm sure you weren't referring to that, because obviously it is an issue that can't really be resolved by moving the paper up. But from a perspective of holding the paper further up so that you can at least rest the palm of your hand on the bottom half of the pages beneath the page you're writing on, yes. The only exception to that, I think, is if you have let me just do a demo of this. So this is an ARC notebook, A5, as you can see, and I'm just going to try an experiment. So we have a page held by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rings. And the same issue will be will manifest itself when you get to halfway down here. You're dropping off the page. You don't have the problem of the waggle because these are a fairly tight fit. The rings and the paper and the discs. But if I just take one page out and then just move it up, and then I should really be doing this on camera, but so what I've done is I've moved it up so that the top half is halfway up again, and then you can write all the way down to the last line with the palm of your hand still being here, But one advantage, I think one of the biggest advantages of disc mechanisms is there's no waggle. I'm just going to do this. So I'm just using one hand. Okay, I'm just going to. It's a bit difficult on the arm of the sofa, so I'm just going to hold it anyway. But I'm not touching the paper. I'm actually going to be touching. Is someone calling me? Someone was calling me. Sorry. So I'm just going to hold it here. I'm not going to hold it here. I'm just going to hold it here, so this paper is free to move if it can. And I'm just going to put cat set on the mat. Okay, and there is no waggle. There's no movement between the page. Well, there is a little bit. There is a little bit. Is there enough to move it? No, I think it's fairly okay. Far better in terms of holding the page without it doing this. Waggling, as we say in the UK. It can be done. Let me do another one. The cat sat on the mat. It's difficult because I can barely see what I'm doing, but I didn't feel that my handwriting was affected by just doing it one-handed, which I probably would if I was using a filofax or other ring binder. But this suggestion where you move it up onto the next 3 rings is a very good one. Okay, so I recently did a review of the Pocket Hamilton Zip. It's not one that I have done before, and I was pleasantly surprised. This channel member says, "Very nice. I think I want a Hamilton just to have it." I totally agree. I'm really good. I'm very pleased that I've got one myself. And a channel subscriber says, "That looks to be so well made and in top-notch condition. Thanks for sharing. Peace and love." Fantastic. It's lovely to get feedback like that. I suspect there are a lot of people out there, a lot of viewers, who would love to have a filofax Hamilton Zip, Pocket, Personal, A5. They're really good quality, so fantastic. Okay, so Lockbee has an A7 size wallet stroke notebook coming soon. It's another waxed canvas product, so it doesn't have that polished executive look. However, I think it will find appeal. I haven't seen this one yet, but it sounds interesting. Do you have a recommendation for a vest pocket sized 6-ring binder? Yes, I do. I would go for, let's have a look at this. So this is my Plotter Mini 5. They also do a mini sized with 6 rings instead of 5. So similar size and format. The ring format is similar to the pocket size filofax that we're all familiar with. So I would go for that because it is very slim, no pockets or straps or pen loop to worry about, and that would be a good thing. It wouldn't be exactly A6. So I would say, let me just have a look at the what the commenter says. Vest pocket. He or she doesn't. No, it's a he. He doesn't specify A6. So yeah, I would go for a plotter. I believe that where are we? Me Plus who make this one, very similar to a plotter. They make a 6-ring version as well. So I would do that. The other alternative is, I don't have one sitting here, another alternative, which is even slimmer than this. I believe these are 11mm rings. I think the ones used for the very short-lived filofax 4-ring pocket size is also worth consideration. I'd definitely have a look at one of those, because they're a lot cheaper than these, and you regularly see them come up on eBay. Gone are the days where they went for sort of £3 or £4. They're now between £25 and £50, at least here in the UK. But that is definitely worth a consideration. But you pay some money and he takes a choice. Okay, next comment. And I'm just going to read it quickly because the spelling's a little bit tricky. I'm terrible with spelling as well. I totally agree with what you said about the Maldens. The new ones totally suck. That's what they're saying. They feel like plastic. That's why I ended up selling them. So they've had more than one, and only kept the other ones. Or that could be earlier ones, not sure. I make an exception for the limited edition Malden charcoal. They are great. And they put does, but I think they mean doesn't. Doesn't matter if it's mini, pocket or personal. Now I haven't had experience of the charcoal one, but this is an issue, and this is an important issue. As you know, I've got 2 Maldens. I've got a brand new one that I bought last year, and I've got this one, which is, I'm holding up a mini Malden, but likely to be a very early one, which I like very much. In fact, I like it so much that in a few days' time, I'm going to start using this. I'm moving, I'm chopping and changing, I'm switching out binders, both personal size and mini size. They're the two sizes that I use most of all. And I like doing that. It's fun, isn't it? If I had a dozen cars, I would switch them out and drive them on alternate days. I once, as a younger man, owned 78 bicycles. Now that's ridiculous. Not as ridiculous as a school friend of mine, who's got 800 motorcycles. Although his wife has got cross and told him he had to slim down his collection. But I don't need 78 bicycles. My friend doesn't need 800 motorcycles, and I don't need 100 filofaxes. But it's a thing. We are where we are. But I do like this Malden. It feels good in the hands. The leather feels good. The construction is good. And even though it has a back pocket, which can make flatability tricky, it's not bad. And to those listening, I'm demonstrating the fact that this mini Malden that I own is pretty good with flatability. However, you know what I'm going to say. I bought last year in a sale in a bricks and mortar store here in the UK. I bought a brand new filofax Malden in ochre, which is for many people something to which they aspire, and particularly that colour. I love that colour. I love the ochre colour, and I like black as well. Black's probably my favourite, but any version of brown, I guess, is my second favourite. And then I have a few filofaxes, traditional typically genuinely vintage filofaxes that are burgundy. I like those as well. But anyway, I digress. The thing is, I am not an expert at filofax Maldens, because as you know, I mean, I've been making these videos for 2 or 3 years now. Three years, nearly 4 years. Gracious. And the modern filofaxes have not really been on my radar until very, very recently, and I made the effort to review filofaxes in the current filofax brand range, and one of those is the Malden. So I bought one in good faith with my own money to test last year. £50, so a very good price, because I think they're around about £100 in the UK, so kind of half price. And what I found was, and this is only my opinion about my particular binder, and the opinions are the rings are out of alignment. I mean, that's not an opinion, it is I'm merely stating a fact. The rings right from the get-go are misaligned, and I just don't get. I mean, I'm not being angry. Calm down, Neil. Calm down. I just don't understand why a ring mechanism cannot be checked at the factory, and if it is misaligned, it should be discarded. I don't understand the reasoning. I don't understand why there doesn't appear to be sufficient quality control to reject misaligned rings, so that they travel halfway around the world using all sorts of distribution mechanisms. Then it gets to the store, then I travel to the store, then I buy it, then I take it home, then I open the box, and instead of having that enjoyment that is attached to the joy of the retail joy of purchase, I find myself disappointed because the rings are misaligned, and presumably they were misaligned when they left the factory, wherever in the Far East they were made. Very difficult, but that's not a subjective thing. That is very, very much an objective observation. The rings are misaligned. They're not designed to be misaligned. They're designed to be aligned. And yet someone has taken the decision to just allow misaligned rings. And I'm not the only one, because obviously, as we know, between you and me, we know that there's anecdotal evidence that there are many issues where people are buying a brand new product and it's misaligned. Can you imagine, wherever you are, whether you're in Japan or Germany or France or the UK or the US, can you imagine ordering a brand new car and having that car delivered to your front door, and when you get it, you take off the plastic wrapping or whatever it is, and then find that the doors don't fit properly. The doors don't fit. And it has been a policy of that car company not to check the fit of the doors, but to actually wait for the vehicle to be delivered to the customer, and the customer to be doing the inspection of that vehicle. And the business is the business philosophy is, well, we'll have a certain number of vehicles back to fix the doors, but that is cheaper than just checking, having good quality control at the factory. As far as I'm concerned, I know I'm going over the top, I know that I've said this time and time again, but time and time again, this problem it just persists, doesn't it? There doesn't seem to be any inclination or there doesn't seem to be any evidence that the poorly fitting rings being released from the factory only to I just don't understand it. So that is an observational thing that I'm not happy with. Now, I don't know whether or not this commentator has had experience of poor rings, but what they are saying is the leather feels like plastic. Now, some leathers do have coatings to make them wear better, to be waterproof if you spill some water on some modern leathers, and I appreciate that is part of the production process, but there gets to the point, and I'm not an expert leather, but there gets to the point where you think, this doesn't feel. I mean, I'm clutching this, and I'm saying it doesn't feel like leather. This one feels like leather. It doesn't really smell of leather, but it feels like leather, and it is leather. I mean, I'm reliably informed. It says, what does it say? It says, it's hard to say because the stamp isn't very pronounced. It says antiqued leather. Well, I'm okay with that. I like it. I like this one because I'm assuming. I mean, I don't want to assume, but my feeling is that the Malden back in the day felt really, really good. Everything I've read, everything I've come across suggests that filofax Maldens at the beginning were pretty good. They had that feeling of leather that many customers liked, and yet my experience of a brand new filofax Malden in personal size ochre was that it doesn't feel, to me, it doesn't feel like leather at all. They can't not they they can only say it's leather if it is leather, but how much of it is leather? What percentage of it is leather? And I mean, as we know, there are leathers and there are leathers. So they don't give any real information. They just say leather. They don't say what type of leather, what country it's come from, anything like that. If you go for a plotter, and I'm just using plotter as an example, but it could be anything. All the marketing, all the advertising, it goes into great depth explaining what sort of leather it is, the country of origin, and the marketing goes into great detail with regards to the tanning process and the historical connection and everything. There's a real emphasis on reassurance to the customer, the prospective customer, that this is a really, really high quality product. Now, I don't see that. I don't see any description. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and please leave a comment on this video if you feel I'm not correct about this. But I haven't come across anything that tells me where the leather comes from, the tanning process, the construction. I've not seen anything. What tannery does it come from? And I strongly suspect that it's because it's nothing to write home about. The process is nothing to write home about. And I think that's a shame because although I'm not expecting this leather on this binder to be from a top class tannery, I'm not expecting much detail, but I just get the impression that the commentator here is right. It has deteriorated in terms of the quality, and I mean, filofaxes are entitled to do that. They're not, there's no requirement for them to use the same construction methods, to choose the same materials. There's no law that says you cannot cheapen the leather or search for the lowest grade of ring mechanism. There's no law that says you must actually undertake a reasonable amount of quality control. There's no law. You can, so long as it's not a safety issue. Obviously, it's a safety issue, like an electric fire. There are certain rules which you have to adhere. But there's no real rules with something as mundane as a personal organizer. You can make it how you want. You can make it as cheap as you want. You can market it how you want. You can use every trick in the book to associate your current products with your heritage, going back 100 years in the case of filofax. There's nothing to stop that association. But I am disappointed. I must admit, I am disappointed, and I'm saying it how it is. I am not happy with the quality of my filofax Malden, because I guess one of my frustrations is that I undertook this time last year. I decided I was going to review some of the filofaxes from the current range, and I think I reviewed the Saffiano Compact Zip, which is a very good design. The filofax Malden, which is a good design, but I'm unhappy with the leathers. Oh, did I mention the zip as absolutely rubbish? No. Well, anyway, they're the three things. The leather feels like plastic, the zip is rubbish, and the rings were out of alignment. And yet this is being sold to me as a brand new product. I could quite conceivably have sent it back. But I decided, to use a phrase suggested by a channel member, I took a hit for the team. I decided to keep it and use it to see whether I got on with it, etc., and use it in my rotation of filofax personal size binders. And to be honest, I haven't got a heart to do it. It's probably going to be used as storage. And then I was going to, the next one I bought a filofax Heritage, which I actually liked, a personal compact. I actually liked that. Although again, there's problems with the misalignment of the rings. And the leather didn't really feel. I mean, the dashboard inside, which I don't really see the point of it. That was made of really nice leather, but the actual binder itself, it didn't. It just felt very plasticky. It smelled of lovely leather, but it wasn't what I expected. It's not how I expect leather to be. And I'm just speaking from the terms of a layman. It smells and feels and looks like leather. This doesn't really smell of leather. I don't know what sort of leather it is, but it is acceptable. But I didn't think that am I a leather snob? Am I barking up the wrong tree here? Well, I don't know. But then I kind of stopped because my next review was going to be the Norfolk. But I couldn't get one a really good deal. I didn't want to spend over £100 for a binder. And then instead of the Norfolk, I went for a used Vanderspec, which is very similar to the Filofax Norfolk. And the quality blew me away. It was lovely. And then I started hankering after a plotter, and finally, after a year of nearly a year of trying to get one in the UK, I bought one from a reseller in Tokyo, I believe. and then I really did become a bit of a leather snob. I love, and I'm gonna end the podcast here. This is a good note. I absolutely love some of my Filofax vintage binders made in England. The quality is sensational. Some of them not so sensational. They're more like a utilitarian, especially the Moroccan leather ones. I'm not really I mean, they're more leather than plastic, and there isn't any plastic in it. I appreciate that, but they're a bit stiff and not very pliable. But I have some made from Moroccan leather where they've been used in anger for quite some time, and over time the leather has become really, really good and pliable. So I'm kind of a vintage Filofax guy, as you know, but I am trying to make the effort to look at review some more recent ones, and I'm a big fan of, say, the Lyndhurst, and I'm a big fan of the Portland, and a big fan of the Kensington. And none of those three are actually vintage binders, although they're described as such by many people, and I'm inclined to go along with that. They don't have to be made in England. So you know, over the time I have had an open mind. I really have had an open mind, and I would, given the right binder at the right price, I am keen to road test to review a Norfolk. I really am. I have seen one close up in my John Lewis store, and I did a little sneak video there, and I quite like the what they call the Filofax original, even though it's not an. I mean, it's so confusing, isn't it? And I would like to try that because it appears to have good flatability. I don't like all the elastic because that's just going to get saggy and horrible over the years. So that precludes it from getting full marks from me. But I will try one. But I am trying to expand my review process. But it's hard work. It's hard work because there are so many models where I just think it's not for me. It is not for me, particularly because of the lack of flatability with many modern binders. But I was at Birmingham railway station a few months ago, and I was just looking over at a lady sitting next to me while we were all waiting for our trains, and she was using an old battered Filofax domino. You know, the one which is secured by a rubber band in the middle, like the waistband almost. And to be honest, that looks okay. It's man-made, very cheap. And that is where I think Filofax really score. You can get one of those for, I mean, not. I know that there's been a real dumbing down of the brands recently because of the apparently huge number of Filofaxes being sold through TK Maxx at very, very cheap prices. So there has been a bit of, I'm not sure whether that's a good idea for the brands, but, you know, there we go. Greater people than me are I'm sure, in control of this. But that domino, you know, perfectly all right. I bought for about £3 a really tatty domino, where all the coloured surface was all peeling away. It was just coming off in clumps. It works fine. Could I use my? Do I like my Guilford Mini Extra Slim with all the problems with the lining peeling away? Yeah, I could, and I would be happy to buy one of those second hand again if the price was right. I think for me, from my perspective, is that Filofax provides an excellent range, crucially at every price point. So all of us, no matter what our budget, whether we're retired or in business or a student, there's something for us that it will crucially works. It just works, and even from a point of view of making our own inserts, as we know. I after I recorded the short video within this video, I did the maths, and a day per page diary from Filofax, as I record this in January 2025, costs a whopping £15. But if you get some A4 sheets and cut them up into A7 and then write the date on each page, to have a day per page Filofax set of Filofax inserts for a mini size, the total price I think it was either 31 or 34 pence. So it is, you can get started. You can get started with a second-hand domino for literally a few pounds. Cut your own sheets, and you are up and running, and you can be just as efficient with this fantastic invention, this repositionable binder, where everything can be organized and set up exactly how you want it for literally for a few pounds. Or you can spend £1,000 on a very, very high-end binder that's at the top of the tree, made of exotic materials. I can't think of, well, I can think of, it's a bit like bicycles. I mean, I have bought bicycles for £1 at an auction, but also you can spend, typically a bicycle suitable for the Tour de France might be right now about £20,000. The Paris Olympics just gone, the Japanese track cyclists riding round and round on the track, their bicycles were around about £100,000. You know, so there's prices for everyone. Price for whether it's be bicycles or hi-fi or Filofaxes. And so I really like that. I really like the fact that it is an incredibly versatile system for all pockets, no matter how much or little you've got. And I really, really like that. But in answer to the commenter about the fact that they're disenchanted with, they said plural, they got rid of all their modern binders, that might be 2 or more, who knows, they didn't say, and kept the old ones. They prefer the old ones. And time again, people are saying they prefer the old ones. I have never heard anyone on social media or YouTube saying they prefer more modern Maldens compared to the old ones. I haven't heard that. Have you? So there's, as far as I'm concerned, there's no smoke without fire. I love the concept and the design of a Malden, but especially if especially if I had one binder, a personal size binder, I would probably, in my, given the benefit of hindsight, I might choose an older Malden for about £20 or £30 on eBay. That would do me. It's a very, very good design for those that want some pockets and they want everything in one place. I might reasonably expect to choose one of those, but I wouldn't buy a new one. I'd buy an older one because my perception is that the leather is better. So I went off at a tangent on a tangent there. My apologies for that. So this is slightly longer than an hour, but thank you for watching, or indeed listening. I hope you're enjoying these segmented podcasts. I am definitely trying to make them at least an hour, so that you can use them how you see fit. But until next time, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.